What's up? Calm down. Calm down and stop licking. Fucking choke you. Okay. Alright. You just want to lick the hands. I get it. You got all the fur just flying everywhere. Oh my god. That shit is crazy. It's all fur. Like, in just a matter of minutes, you just get covered in that shit. You gotta get a brush or something for it. You gotta start getting brushed every day. Yo, what up, what up? They gave me my damn live back, bro. Yeah, well, come scratch and getting all your fucking fur on my paintings, girl. Man, oh man. That be some rough shit, bro. Motherfuckers think the dentist just some easy shit. Nah, like you say, you go to the dentist, have surgery. I don't want no surgery done on my mouth. But I've been pretty good my whole life, y'all. I've had one wisdom tooth removed, and I've had 2 cavities filled. And now, I think I'm getting another cavity, yo. Cause sometimes a fucking tooth hurt. You gotta go back to the dentist again, get that shit squared away. It's about time for my cleaning too. So when I know when I go get my teeth cleaned, they're gonna be like, Mr. Prince. I'm going through a transformation, changing everything. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely need some more dental work done my damn self. I trust me, bro. I know the feeling. I know the fucking feeling, bro. I hate going to the fucking dentist, yo. That's why I brush twice a day and floss. Try to keep them shit as clean as I can, yo. So, yo. My dentist always like compliment me on my teeth, like I have all my teeth and my gums are fairly healthy for someone who smokes a lot. You know, and I do drink sugary drinks, and it's just not all water all the time. So, shit, for 40 years, I've still got all my chompers, and they pretty strong, like, but still. Woo! Welcome to the future. Now, have you been able to... Motherfucking gnat is flying around in here. Have you been able to play it before you got your own, or you getting your own PlayStation? Was that the first time you got to actually play it? That's in the other news. Yes, sir. We all making our way there, boy. We all making our way there, boy. Hey, tell me you gonna get that the Battlefield, bro. You know what? I might just go ahead and pre-order my shit. I'm gonna order not the basic one and not the Elite Supreme package, but the one in the middle, so you can have like the season pass. Cause if, I already know, man. If it's a good Battlefield, I'm gonna play that shit. You. What up? What up? Motherfuckers finally took me out of YouTube jail. I was on Twitch all week, yo. But only had like 3 or 4 people in there. And then I can't even find my own Twitch channel. I can go live, but when I search for my own Twitch channel to moderate that shit, I can't find that shit, yo. It's the weirdest fucking thing. But goddamn, Bronx Sushi was in there. Alright, cool. Cause we definitely gonna have to team up. We gonna have to make a squad, man. Make our own fucking plan on that shit, yo. And so now you can see what everybody says about the controller. Like, I really do feel like right now the controller is like the biggest innovation. Like, it feels different. Like, I like how the controller feels, yo. And you play the Astrobots. Yo, Bronx Sushi said my Twitch channel was Trap House ENT. But I searched that shit, and then when I log in on my, like, I got Twitch on my phone, but I log in and it puts me under like this old Twitch account I had, or a different Twitch account. That shit is Trap House Prince, and for some reason I can't get off that Trap House Prince account and get back to the Trap House Entertainment account. And then when I try to search it, like I said, I can't even find that shit my damn self, yo. That shit was fucking my head up. Like, yo, how come I can't watch the channel that I'm streaming live on right now? But it wouldn't let me do that shit. Yeah, that shit crazy. I can't find my own channel, yo. I said they booted me out last week and told me they was gonna put me on fucking punishment for a week, yo.
Specifically to avoid this unwanted association, whether sightings go up. Saving our photos in the years of the cloud has become second nature. But where do they actually go?
So I dropped off the last commission I had in the house. So right now, the only thing in the studio is my art. I have no commission work in here right now, which feels pretty good. Makes me feel like I'm doing stuff. And I miss when I'm out. That part. I need some sponsors funds, man. You know what I'm saying? I do this for the people. But I had sold this painting. That's black on black violence for the reader series, and so I decided to paint it back over again for myself. And I'm going to remix it so it's not going to be like the exactly like the first painting. You want to go down? I mean, the door is open if you want to go. Or you can chill. It don't matter. But yeah, the one I sold, the first one I sold was on a smaller canvas and it has some writing on it in the background. I'm going to change the writing, and it's obviously on a larger canvas, so it's technically a different painting. Technically speaking. Yo, what's up, my guy? Chilling, chilling. I can't call it. You know, same old shit. Just another day. Yep, same old shit. Just another day. And I ain't got no snacks up here. Shit. Feel like I need me some lunches. That's all we can do, bruh. Chilling, chilling. Yeah, I was fucking with one of my coworkers today, talking about because I'm not vaccinated, and most of my coworkers are, and they're like, I asked them like, do you think the mask mandate is gonna come back? And they're both like, yeah. And I'm like, why? And they're like, because of the Delta variant. And I'm like, but is that really something to be scared about? And then I was just playing devil's advocate, but they got frustrated. And one of my coworkers like, I know 6 people. I personally know 6 people who died from COVID. She's like, this shit is fucking real, and everybody should get vaccinated and listen to all the instructions from the government. And she's like, then if you don't care about wearing masks or getting vaccinated, why don't you go volunteer in the COVID ward at the hospital? I'm not doing that shit. First of all, I don't volunteer my time like that. Yo, my man, what's good? So I told her honestly, like I would do that shit. I would be scared to be at a hospital. Like people are doing it now, and then I don't know. What I told him was this is a test program for the government to see how much control they have over their citizens, yo. Damn, this shit won't like. They tell a motherfucker to jump, and everybody jump. Because the boogeyman. We always gotta have a boogeyman. No, your government wouldn't lie to you, bro. They just got your best interest at at the forefront of their agenda. You know, they got your best interest in mind, bro. And I try to tell them that, and I'm like, yo, how many other times have we had global pandemics that started going from country to country and like it never got that bad? And I was like, yo, we haven't even uh like for the years, like man, we're still like on par with seasonal flu and shit like that. I am the things to go bump in the night. Is that Darkwing Duck? I was like, man, we've had every fucking kind of virus out there every couple of years. And she's like, do you know anybody who died from H1N1? I'm like, no. She's like, do you know anybody who died from Ebola? I'm like, nah. She's like, well, I personally know 6 people who died from COVID. And I'm like, I mean, what was their health like? Were they old? Like old, overweight, and with pre-existing conditions? They probably got the flu and died from the flu, A little bit. And so that's the thing about the people I work around. Like, we can agree to disagree, so we just stop talking about it. Because they're like, why aren't you getting vaccinated? Just yeah, they don't like that I don't go along with that fucking that mask shit, yeah. Oh well. At y'all jobs, y'all still wearing masks? Y'all gotta wear masks at work? Like, our office took the mask mandate away if you're fully vaccinated. But I just tell them I identify as a fully vaccinated person. And that's how I choose to live my life, as if I am vaccinated. And if you go against, my personal beliefs of who I am, then you're literally assaulting me, in my character. Because, like I said, I identify as a fully vaccinated person. And you can't tell me otherwise. They got the C word. I don't know, man. Yeah. I mean, and so there's like, so you just don't believe that there's COVID? I'm like, I'm not saying I don't believe there's some new virus out there, but at the same time, I'm not in some lab looking at fucking samples underneath a magnifying glass at blood work and identifying exactly what viruses are present or not present. So I can only go on what people tell me. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you tell me somebody got corona, hey, I just gotta, hey, must be, that's what the doctor said. How the doctors know? Because the doctors got tests, and they do the test, and then the test tell the doctors what it is. Well, who make the test? You know? They say so they can just leave you alone. Look, man, I got the shots. I ain't doing that shit, man. I'm telling you, bro. I do that shit at gunpoint. Not this exact virus. Virus is very, very similar to a mutated strand of a novel virus, and that's why some people think that it came from a research lab. But hey, I don't know. I don't work in a research lab, so I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, but these types of viruses are nothing new, and then in this scenario is nothing new, but then at the same time, like, nobody was prepared for this. Yo, they took that shit down, yo. There's this one dude breaking down this shit. Now there's only this one guy.
Let's start with the claim that this lockdown was more than 10 years ago in the quote Rockefeller document. Now there are others in the posts. They say that the Rockefeller document talks about a contagious but low version, that the virus would be transported between labs and smuggled out by China, that they fund government agencies and give them talking points and scripts, and that governments would coordinate a vaccine development and multiple lockdown phases. Okay, that's a lot. Let's verify. Did this Rockefeller document really predict the COVID pandemic? Our sources, the Johns Hopkins Data Tracker, the CDC, and the Rockefeller Foundation. We found the document these claims mention. It's actually called Scenarios for the Future of Technology and International Development. It was made in 2010 by the Rockefeller Foundation to consider how different technology will affect our world over the next decade. It is 54 pages long with 4 different scenarios. Only one of them was a pandemic, and it's not nearly as similar as these claims suggest. The scenario virus started in 2012, not 2019. It started in geese. It was very fatal, killing more than 8 million people, and many governments put lockdowns and other restrictions in place. And that's the only similarity between COVID and this scenario virus, that many world governments have put in place lockdowns. That's it. This long list of claims doesn't match the document at all. And the virus in the scenario has almost no resemblance to COVID-19. So the claims that the Rockefeller document predicted COVID and this pandemic 10 years ago?
That's not what they're saying. They already predicted a scenario that is very similar with a fatal disease that jumps from an animal to humans, whether it's turtles or bats or geese or whatever. So it does predict the exact same scenario. No. Is the date, and they say the pandemic would be in 2012, but this was in 2010, so they're hypothesizing what could happen in the near future. And so, the dates are wrong and this is wrong. No, the prediction is dead fucking point on. And I can't find the other guy who breaks that shit down, yo. They took his shit off of there, yo. That's crazy.
and patient 0 has not been identified. Its primary method of transmission is unknown. Symptoms of this illness include coughing fits, high fever, sweating, unusual sensitivity to light, and in some cases, severe headache. Several school districts have announced temporary closure to prevent students from contracting the illness. Again, both the index patient and the source of the epidemic
This is MSNBC with breaking news out of Seattle. Washington state health officials have noted that within the past few days, a flu-like illness has been spreading unusually fast in several different areas. King County has placed restrictions and health guidelines for the next week or two to try and prevent the pathogen from spreading farther. Health experts have sounded the alarm, noting that this has pandemic potential. If the spread is not mitigated, then it could possibly start popping up in other states and eventually other countries. Officials estimate that around 3,000 people have contracted this illness, a dramatic increase from 2 days ago, when that number was only around 100. A small number of deaths have also been reported. The Washington Department of Health and the CDC are both trying to collect samples of the pathogen to try and identify it. Thank you for tuning in to King 5 News in Seattle. Conspiracy theories surrounding a new virus have started to circulate online, especially after several people were reported missing. Due to the reports saying that they were acting strange, some have theorized that these persons were infected with the virus.
These theories are popular on social media platforms such as Facebook or Twitter.
They're latching onto something that tells them what they want to believe. They're latching onto something that matches their existing worldview. And it's important to these people to do that right now because of the anxiety and the uncertainty that they're facing around this.
This has led people to question whether or not the government is telling the full truth, or if this virus is really what it seems.
How many people die annually from the flu? So even if this is twice as bad, it's serious. But I'm not concerned.
However, these theories are unlikely to be true because there is no other evidence besides the missing persons that can back the claims up. Nevertheless, this virus is still very dangerous and is spreading at an alarming rate. More school districts continue to follow the trend of closing until this epidemic subsides. Officials are strongly advising residents to avoid going to large public gathering spaces and to wash hands thoroughly each time after going outside. Much about this pathogen, including the first patient and the outbreak source, are still unknown at this time. However, that is being investigated. At this time, officials hypothesized that this virus was brought into Seattle from the influx of Thanksgiving travel across the United States. Conspiracy theorists claim that the virus was accidentally released from the lab.
My fucking yo, my damn laptop is not recognizing the fucking charger. It's like, oh, your charger's not working right, and the fucking shit is dying. Come on, bro. It's always something. God damn.
Is already infected with this. There's a new groundbreaking discovery that's reversing planned obsolescence.
On one, what is your emergency? I need help. My roommate is sick and he just started attacking me out of nowhere. Calm down, sir. Please give me your address so I can dispatch police unit. 714 Scranton Street, Unit 2. And you said your roommate was sick? Was he sick with the new illness? Yeah, I think so. I locked myself in the bathroom, but I think he knows I need... Sir? Sir, are you there? Help! Just stay on the line with me. Hang on. What? Oh my God. What's wrong? Iris, we were totally wrong about it. What is it? It's nothing like the flu. Look at it. It looks horrendous, just like Ebola, but it can't be, can it? There's no way we missed this. Clearly we did. We've been treating this like the flu when it could be a highly contagious and deadly virus. We have to get this information out. Who knows how many people are walking around infected with an Ebola-like virus? The whole Seattle area is at risk.
Thank you for joining this emergency conference. We have conducted research on this new virus and have some urgent information to share with you. The virus, which has begun to spread rapidly across Seattle, has been collected, and scientists working with us have conducted research into its properties. Initially, we believed this virus was a flu-like virus, posing a threat to the weak and vulnerable, but initial research has shown this virus bears more similarity to the Ebola virus. Ebola viruses belong to a family of viruses known as Filaviridae, which involve viruses such as the Ebola virus and the Marburg virus. Based on our Ebola research in recent years, we can conclude that the new virus is not an Ebola virus, of which there are 6, but a more distant relative, and likely fit into the category of a filovirus. This virus has now been dubbed Klaxia virus. The virus has a similar composition to Ebola, and as such the city of Seattle and its surrounding areas should be quarantined immediately. A full military blockade will be required to ensure the virus is contained as much as possible. Once we can confirm that a suitable perimeter has been established and will not be breached, medical and research teams will be deployed to help those who are infected and collect more samples to further understand this new virus. Members of Congress have been informed and will soon prepare to begin the necessary actions. The President is also being kept up to date.
From the Washington State Department of Health in conjunction with the Centers for Disease Control and the Washington State National Guard. Due to recent developments with the virus spreading in Seattle, the governor of Washington has decided to instate a military blockade around King County. As of now, nobody will be able to enter or leave King County without proper authorization to stop the virus from spreading outside of the county. Anyone who attempts to breach the blockade may be met with lethal force. Life within the county will retain some degree of normality. However, there are limitations being enforced. Residents will be able to go outside, and essential stores such as grocery stores or pharmacies will remain open. However, public places such as parks or malls will be closed off to the public until further notice. This curfew is in effect indefinitely and will be
We have some exclusive information about the military blockade around Seattle established last night. Nobody can enter or leave the city, and anybody attempting to do so will be arrested or met with lethal force. This has been done to contain the virus, and emergency medical personnel will be deployed in the city shortly. However, the people of Seattle have made their opinions on the matter known, as certain individuals have been spotted attacking military personnel and using violence to bypass the blockade. On Twitter, the hashtag prisoners is trending at #1, as a considerable number of people in Seattle make it clear that they disagree with the blockade and believe it is a breach of their human rights. We have a citizen of Seattle with us today. 28-year-old Benjamin Kane has agreed to speak with us about his opinions on the matter. Ben, how has this blockade impacted your life on a personal level?
I plan to travel out of state to visit my mother, as she's ill, and to be perfectly honest, I don't think she's got much time left. I would have spent some precious time with her, and this blockade has just completely ruined that. Why we need the military to block off the city for a flu-like virus that doesn't really kill anyone is beyond me. I'm tyrannical.
Information about a potential protest in the downtown area. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't blame them. Their freedoms are being stripped away by the government, and they have the right to protest against it. Our lives have been brought to a halt, and we're being expected to just deal with it. Never in my life did I expect that the Army would hold us all at gunpoint to stay in the city. This is America, for God's sake, not Pyongyang.
Anything you want to add before we let you go?
Personally, I'm disgusted that the people in other cities aren't making a fuss about this. This whole thing is completely illegal, and we should be fighting to resist this sort of tyranny. I, for one, will be taking up arms and fighting to restore my freedoms and encourage other citizens at Seattle to pick up their weapons and fight off the oppressive.
Sorry about that, but we cannot have that on the air. I want to take the time to make it clear that we at MSNBC do not condone violence against the military, and you will be met with lethal force if you fight the military forming the blockade.
You are disturbing the general public and violating the law. Please walk
Minecraft, I was watching the all-around self-driving.
Let's use the self-driving car.
No, let's not. Bloody thing keeps crashing. Driverless cars, an enjoyable, futuristic, luxury chauffeur ride, or deadly robots coming to take our jobs and kill us.
A fiery crash at the hands of no apparent driver. It's just the latest incident involving Tesla and possible use of their autopilot technology. The federal government is investigating more than 24 Tesla incidents.
Many major tech firms have invested in self-driving technology, including Tesla, Google, Amazon, and Apple. Eric Schmidt said that self-driving cars will be ready for use by the general public in years, not decades, but it's very much dependent on regulation. It's time to make it legal, he said.
The original ideas were developed in the 1990s. The first self-driving car won the challenge in 2004.
In 2012 we went, the sooner we can get cars to drive for us, the more lives we can save. Self-driving cars should become the predominant mode of transportation in our lifetime. The sooner we can get cars to drive for us, the more lives we can save. It's weird how these things are always presented as somehow being beneficial for human beings. Do you really imagine that in the boardrooms of these incredibly powerful and successful organisations, people have sat around saying, how many lives can we change? How can we help ordinary people? You can't do that. It's stitched into the DNA, the formational philosophy of these organisations is about making profit. That's what it is. What is a new market? That's how they talk. You know, like Facebook aren't venturing off into some new territory in Malaysia. How can we help them in Malaysia? This is a new territory. It's the same as colonisation. Once you've tyrannised into serfdom an indigenous population, you have to look for new territories. Once you've saturated a market with one product, you have to look for more product to sell people. Strap something on your wrist, stick a chip in your brain. It has to go somewhere. There's always been a suspicion of like change from like agriculture into industry into all urbanisation. And the reason there is a cynicism is just moving away from our nature, moving away from our autonomy and power. One might imagine there was a point in our evolution where we were more in harmony with our own awareness, a kind of animal intelligence that you can see in the creatures that are around you. As we sort of unbolted from the natural trajectory of the world that we're a part of and come from, and into this sort of autonomous, self-reflective state that prizes progress, prizes convenience, prizes profit, there's been a sort of a bifurcation and a sort of continuing separation from, you know, harmony.
Driverless cars are already on the roads, and within the next few years, they could become a common sight.
All right, but they could also mean the loss of thousands of jobs. Some speculate it could cause the biggest disruption in the workforce since the Industrial Revolution.
The problem is, well, with something like self-driving cars, is loads of people are going to lose their jobs. Now, what is the aim? What kind of society are we trying to create? Are we trying to create a society where these big corporations can maximise their profit, or are we trying to create a society where people live purpose-driven lives where they have authority and autonomy and some control and agency in their own existence? Obviously it's the latter, that's what you think, but that is not the case. Swathes of the population, because we live in a system that's determined and controlled by economics, if you can't participate in that economic system, you are not only redundant in the sense that you don't have a job, you are socially redundant, you are unnecessary, and these people have to be monetised in new ways, hence the increase of privatised prisons and prison populations required to fill those prisons, hence poverty. It would be good if the ingenuity of Elon Musk and the sort of endeavours of a man like Eric Schmidt could be purposed towards a fairer and more just society. But at the moment, that isn't what's happening. And the reason that they posture under the rhetoric of creating a fairer and safer society is because everyone knows that's what you should be doing. Don't use the livery, language and rhetoric of a fair and just society because on your deepest level of your being you know that's what you should be doing, when in fact you're doing quite the opposite.
Robots don't need health insurance, they don't need sleep, and they don't earn overtime.
In 2017, a report by 4 European transport groups estimated that up to 4.4 million truck driving jobs in the US and Europe could become redundant and thus eliminated by 2030 if efforts aimed at widely deploying self-driving commercial vehicles are successful. And 85 million jobs could be lost by 2025. That came from a report of the World Economic Forum. Davos, that friendly little consortium of smiling assassins said that 85 million jobs will be disrupted. How will they be disrupted? Well, at the moment they're jobs, and then they're going to be disrupted into not being jobs.
Amazon making a big deal in the self-driving car space. The price that Amazon paid was north of $1 billion, making it one of Amazon's biggest deals.
Of course, one of the companies that are invested in driverless technology is Amazon. How do Amazon balance the complicated demands of caring for their workforce and looking after continually increasing profits? How have they behaved up till now with the enormous power that they have?
Amazon actually had to acknowledge that yes, in fact, their drivers are forced to urinate in bottles.
Our drivers are not forced to urinate into a bottle. Did I say aren't? They are. They are forced to. Can I get a drink, please? That is water, right?
Amazon warehouse workers in the state of Alabama have voted against forming a union.
Perhaps drivers are being forced to piss in bottles because of, well, yes, it says here, relentless working practices. Why can't the workers come together and oppose these difficult, draconian and oppressive laws? Well, because Amazon have vigorously opposed efforts by their workers to unionize at a major facility in Alabama. The union claimed that the company illegally interfered with the process. Of course they bloody well did. Amazon threatened workers with layoffs and even closing the warehouse if they unionized. The voting mailbox installed in the parking lot created the false appearance that Amazon was conducting the election, intimidating workers into voting against the union due to security cameras in the parking lot, giving the impression that workers were being watched and that their votes weren't private. Hey, there's no evidence at all of the tech world spying on people and then using that data to manipulate them.
The effort drew much attention and high-profile political support, as it was seen as a bellwether for the future of labor activism.
It's a bit like, I suppose, the Super League, that all these things are emerging in this state of vulnerability, and as many of you say in the comments, I know, never waste a good crisis has become one of the mantras of the controlling elites at this time. The pandemic has left millions of Americans unemployed. In October, 11 million people were unemployed in the US, and humans are experiencing record job losses and economic uncertainty. Robots have become a hot commodity. It's weird, isn't it? Because the way this story is portrayed is like people like look back to like, you know, groups that smashed up printing presses, or like Luddites that were suspicious of technological advancement. But these groups were actually organised worker groups that were saying, you'll use this technology to further impose regulation and control and reject the rights of ordinary people. And that historically is what's happened, and it's continuing to happen. Even with their great might and power that Amazon yields, they still feel the need to control workers' elections, to install intimidating cameras, to prevent them unionising. What does that tell you? Those of you that feel there is no hope, there is no way of things changing, look how hard powerful interests have to work to prevent change happening.
Now the big question is, of course, what does Amazon want to do with a self-driving startup? Well, Zix's technology fits into Amazon's years-long push into robotics, adding to a fleet that already consists of drones, warehouse robots, and mini delivery vehicles.
Buying drones, warehouse worker robots, and driverless cars. This is really going to help workers to be safe. It's not easy to reach that conclusion from that set of facts, is it?
Last year, Amazon invested in another self-driving car company, Aurora.
Why is Amazon getting into self-driving cars?
Well, it could be because their workers are trying to unionise and have some kind of rights, and they would like to crush those rights by saying you're expendable. Already, without AI, the way that you keep worker wages low is by endless competition for low-wage positions. That's how you do that. But if you can say, well, we've got a robot here, it'll do it for nothing. Can you beat nothing? No. Well, there's your bottle. What you do in that bottle, put that in front of the word off. There's your solution.
But Aurora, we're building a driver. And that driver, we think, can move people, and ultimately will move goods as well.
So potentially self-driving Amazon cars bringing packages to our doors?
I think delivering goods, for sure.
What can we do about that on an individual level? When you're dealing with people, or if you are a person that delivers, remember the humanity that exists between us. We can't allow that to be stripped away. Sometimes when I see the sort of logos and badges and emblems, I forget, this is a human being like me. Somehow the world is being tiled over so that we can't reach the humanity of one another, that we're just human beings that can get on with one another, that we have shared interests. We mustn't have contempt for each other. We mustn't dehumanise each other. We mustn't allow these systems and their intentions to bleed into us so deeply that we're incapable of discovering the divine connection that can exist between people.
When I heard about the Zoox news, I immediately thought that they could maybe cut down on lots of labor costs if they can make their whole fleet self-driving in some way.
They're going to try to cut out that labor force. For $1 billion, they could save an awful lot of money if they could actually turn their delivery fleet into autonomous vehicles.
Digital technology in almost every area of its deployment has become an amplifier of inequality. Tech companies that control it employ almost no one in comparison either to their profits or to non-tech companies of comparable size and scale. Volkswagen employs nearly 656,000 people worldwide as of December 2018. Facebook employed 35,000. So it's a perfect model for automation where you can have incredible wealth, incredible power, incredible assets, and no responsibility to people. A further breaking down of the social contract. I suppose the reason that discourse in the 20th century centred around labour and the power of workers and the proletariat is because the power of the proletariat only existed as the means of production, in their ability to contribute to the economy through the manufacture of goods. Now that's being challenged through AI. The discourse has to change, the aim has to change. We have to look beyond that. We have to be able to diagnose, witness somehow where this thing is heading and prevent it from getting there. We can't get there simply by having economic arguments. We have to have ideological arguments.
Some disturbing new video is taken on a busy freeway in LA and appears to show, as you can see right here, a driver asleep at the wheel. This is crazy. Asleep at the wheel of his Tesla.
Really committed to that sleep as well. Like, most people that drive have experienced sort of that terrifying late night moment when for some reason you try to set yourself a record of carrying on driving and you go, and then you're sort of walk and it feels sort of nice and a little bit if you actually want to go to sleep. What I've never done is gone, think I'll settle down for a proper name, might as well be sort of blowing little Zeds out of his mouth.
This is both scary and it's bizarre, right? This was recorded by a California couple on one of the busiest highways in the country.
I hope they're concentrating because they're dedicating their time to making this documentary about old Sleepyhead.
ABC News has not spoken to that driver, and Tesla declining to comment on the video. The company has said drivers are supposed to keep their hands on the wheel at all times.
Yeah, that's one of the things we say about cars, isn't it? Drivers are supposed to keep their hands on the wheel at all times, unless they're a robot and don't have hands.
It was a scary experience, but also, hey, this is 2019 and that's the future.
Clint does make an interesting point. If the autopilot was on here, the technology worked.
I wonder if they sort of put stuff out like that on purpose, sort of leak it into the media, just so that you start to think, oh, well, yeah, it's possible. Look, I could be having a lovely doze on my way to work. Hey, I haven't got a job. There's a robot doing it now.
That car maintained its speed and never swerved or drifted, but it is still a dangerous incident, and also it is illegal. But at some point, it may be safe to follow. Yeah, it could be a monumental health accomplishment.
Oh, right, I get it now. You can see the easy alliance between powerful interests at play here as they sort of gently lubricate the notion of driverless cars. It's not can we, it's ought we. That's the questions that you're asking. Like, not can we, of course there's all sorts of things that could be created, but would it not be better to employ this ingenuity to create a fairer society? What's the end point? If the end point is to further acquire profits for already powerful interests, to further disempower ordinary people, to turn us into passive consumers, flesh blobs moving between screen to automated car, if you're lucky, back to the sofa, phone in your hand all the time. It's like you're being eliminated from your own existence. I'm not advocating a return to some sort of glorious sort of
idyll where we live in the woods. I am actually advocating that bit. I'm saying we should get back in touch with nature, use technology where necessary to create a fairer and better society. The great Bill Hicks joke, couldn't the same technology that allows missiles to hit a target thousands of miles away be used to fire bananas at hungry people? It's a silly joke, but I suppose the point is we can see what the focus and targets of our culture are, and framing it in this jaunty, fun way while actually serving the ends of the powerful is rather insidious, if you ask me. So, use your technology with caution, stay alert, unionise where possible, or at least collectivise, localise, think about your community and the power that your community has, and think very cautiously before absolving yourself of that power and delegating it or gifting it to already powerful interests for safety. If you enjoyed that video, please instruct your AI robot to like it and subscribe it, and then hop in your little driverless vehicle and sign up to my mailing list at russellbrand.com so I can remain in glorious connection with you thanks to technology. I recognise it's not technology that's bad. The ideas behind it could be used to create a terrifying peninsula where ordinary folk have no power. If you've got a comment, stick a comment below. I read them and I take particular delight in the malicious ones. I love you, whoever you are, wherever you are. Let's try to use this tech wisely.
Your arm has never been so powerful. It can save lives and protect your livelihood. All you have to do is get your shot. COVID-19 vaccines can keep you out of the hospital and keep you on the job. Find a provider at pa.gov/COVID. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
That I will be sending a letter to the Department of Justice asking for a criminal referral because he has lied to Congress. We have scientists that will line up by the dozens to say that the research he was funding was gain of function. He's doing this because he has a self-interest to cover his tracks and to cover his connection to Wuhan Lab.
That's Kentucky Senator Rand Paul threatening to send the Justice Department a criminal referral against Dr. Anthony Fauci during a heated exchange between the two on Capitol Hill yesterday. The Republican senator pressing Fauci about the origins of COVID and funding of the Wuhan laboratory in China. But the White House chief medical advisor, is standing firm, denying any wrongdoing. You just have to see it. Watch.
Fauci, knowing that it is a crime to lie to Congress, do you wish to retract your statement of May 11th where you claimed that the NIH never funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
I have never lied before the Congress, and I do not retract that statement.
You take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans,
right.
You're saying that's not gain-of-function?
Yeah, that is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about.
They took animal viruses that only occur in animals and they increased their transmissibility to humans. How you can say that is not gain of function?
It is not.
It's a dance, and you're dancing around this because you're trying to obscure responsibility for 4 million people dying around the world.
Oh, you are implying that what we did was responsible for the deaths of individuals. I totally resent that. And if anybody is lying here, Senator, it is you.
Trey Gowdy.
Well, Harris, I have said oftentimes before, one of the greatest casualties of this pandemic has been medicine and science. I mean, we live in a world where we are desperate for something to rise above the political den, something we can trust and believe in. And it used to be medicine. Look, I don't know Dr. Fauci. I know Rand a little bit. They're both medical doctors. I know it makes for great TV to have this conversation in 5-minute increments on television. Why don't you meet with one another? Why don't you just go, no cameras, you both are MDs, go sit down. I don't have a friend that understands gain of function. I don't know a single person that knows the difference between RNA and DNA vaccine. Maybe you and I have different friends, maybe my friends are just not that smart, but we don't talk about that. What we talk about is how do we survive this looming coming season of disquiet that is coming back. And it'd be great if we could rely on medicine. So, look, Rand, Dr. Fauci, go talk about this in private first. That's what the Bible says to do. That'd be a pretty good idea for both of y'all.
Morgan.
Well, I think it's important to have this discussion, and Josh Rogan from the Washington Post, also a CNN contributor, tweeted out last night, and he was right. He said that that the NIH was funding gain-of-function research at this lab, but what the NIH reportedly did, according to this Washington Post columnist, is they didn't classify it as gain-of-function research, because by not classifying it, then they got away from having the oversight mechanism that the NIH requires if you are funding it. So why does that matter? Number one, it matters because if they are funding gain-of-function research in these labs or anywhere around the world, where I think it's proven they were, and they're not declaring it in order to get around an oversight mechanism, it's important that number one, that they stop doing it. It's also secondly important to know why do we have this oversight in place? Could we, if we had proper oversight of the gain-of-function research going on in this lab, would we have been able to better understand the origins of COVID, which no one knows, and we do not know if it came from this lab. Its signs are pointing to there. And finally, I would just say, to back up Trey, there is one entity that's responsible for all of this, and it's not Fauci. It's the Chinese Communist Party. And we need to continue to make sure, no matter what we're arguing about in the United States, that our efforts are focused on getting the Chinese Communist Party to be accountable for the origins of COVID.
There you go. All right, we do want to get to this, and Trey, you had brought up the COVID vaccine. Republican Congressman Steve Scalise is talking about why he, in fact, finally chose, because he was waiting, he said, he was delayed. He finally chose to get the COVID vaccination. Now, watch.
Months ago, I had tested for the antibodies, and so I would imagine maybe a year ago, early off, I might have gotten COVID, but didn't really have any symptoms, but had the antibodies. But ultimately, with this new Delta variant, you're seeing, I've toured a lot of hospitals in the last few weeks, and you're seeing the cases go up. It's not to the alarming level that we saw last year by any stretch. You do see about 95 to 98% of people in the hospital for COVID are people that aren't vaccinated. And I just, I was ready to get the vaccine. I've always felt it was safe and effective. I applaud what President Trump did with Operation Warp Speed to bring multiple vaccines to the market in the quickest time ever. But it's not because they cut corners. They tested on thousands of people before ultimately you got that FDA conditional use approval. So it's safe and effective. I took it, and I wanted to show the picture to just encourage people.
While we discuss this, and Kaylee, I want to get your top line thoughts on this, because you were just saying much of what he's saying yesterday. I mean, but look, this is Congressman Scalise on Sunday getting his first COVID shot. He says he's getting a 2-shot series, so he'll be back in 21 or 28 days, depending on which one he got, Pfizer or Moderna, respectively.
That's right, and like Congressman Steve Scalise, I had COVID-19. Even though I was asymptomatic, I went and got the vaccine for a few reasons. Well, first, let me say, as I mentioned yesterday, I saw President Trump oversee this process. He appointed Dr. Stephen Hahn at the FDA, who approved this vaccine. He appointed Robert Redfield at the CDC. I got the vaccine because, one, could keep you from getting a variant. Number two, even if you get a variant, you're 95% less likely to be hospitalized. Our elderly are most vulnerable.
Scalise says it's higher than that from what he's seeing in hospitals.
Higher than that. And even more important than any of that is it reduces your risk of transmitting the virus. So if you have a grandmother or a grandfather or a parent, do it for them, if not for yourself, even if you're a young person.
So when you talk to people, and I do, I want to know where people are. I want to meet them right where we are, right? Dr. Siegel and I talk about this all the time. Because I'm not a doctor. As Trey said, we're not all epidemiologists, breaking down our mRNA and DNA. But at the baseline point, we want to understand what's right for us, right? I am so confused about the messaging coming out of this White House. Why can't they simply say that what those people on that plane going from Texas to D.C. did was wrong? They were flouting federal regulations for being in the air. No matter what their vaccination status, the rest of us wear a mask, whether we love that process or not. That's how it is. Why can't the White House simply say, you know what, our next proving ground is not going to be at your front door. It's going to be at the front door of the FDA. We're going to go get them and tell them to give full approval. Scientifically, can they get there from this emergency use authorization? I would say 80% of the people I talk to who have waited, like Scalise did for a period of time, that's their issue. They're like, well, why don't they mainstream it like every other drug? I mean, if you read the back of the bottle of an anti-inflammatory, there are a lot of indicators for why you might want to choose a different drug. Why can't the FDA look at this? Why isn't the White House pressuring that more?
That's such a great point, absolutely, and that's a lot of people who have hesitation. They've pointed out, why isn't the FDA, why haven't they approved it yet if this administration is on board? It only serves to ignite more questions in the American people, especially when that mixed messaging from this administration trickles down, for example, to the state and local level, like in LA County, where in complete contrast to the message of vaccine efficacy, they're still demanding people wear masks indoors and outdoors, etc., especially to combat what they call the pandemic of unvaccination. I think that's why Steve Scalise, for example, is such a wonderful ambassador to this. At least he is sending a clear message about the vaccine's efficacy. Remember as well, we talked about, the flood of migrants on the border. Just 38 people in the entire country of Haiti have been vaccinated. So the fact that in this country they are prevalent, available, and free, I hope that more people take advantage of that with hopefully a clear messaging going forward.
Hi, I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.
Humans have existed for millions of years as part of nature. But then something changed, and in an incredibly short amount of time, we terraformed this planet and designed it to fit our needs. As far as we know, we're the first beings to awaken and completely take over a planet. The transition from hunting and gathering to farming and building was so breathtakingly fast that many of our ways of thinking about the world are no longer useful. One of our most outdated ideas is that the most commonly used calendar in the world insists that we live in the year 2016. This distorts our view of our own history and makes it harder to understand who we are as a species, and just how far we've come in an incredibly short amount of time. So maybe it's time to choose a year zero for humanity. A year zero that truly represents us as a species and includes all cultures. A year zero that marks when we began building our own world on top of the old one. "12,000 years ago, hundreds of humans came together in the hills of southern Anatolia. They were hunters and gatherers without knowledge of agriculture or metalworking. All they had were tools made of stone and wood. But they built humanity's first big construction project, 7,000 years before the pyramids were built in Egypt. Spread over 300 meters, our ancestors erected circles of massive stone pillars, each of them up to 6 meters high and 40 tons in weight, decorated with artful pictograms and stone carvings of animals and mythical creatures. We have no idea how they were able to do this. It was probably a project of epic scale for the Stone Age, requiring a level of organization we didn't know early humans were capable of until we found this site. So, why did they build it? The most popular theory is that this was the first temple of humanity, dedicated to long-forgotten gods. We only know that this construction project, the first of its kind, marks the beginning of a new era. It's in this area, around that time, that humans truly began to build their own world, which would make it a fitting milestone in our history for the start of our calendar. This moment in time is so distinct that scientist Cesare Emiliani proposed that humanity should switch to what he called the Holocene calendar by adding 10,000 years to our current Gregorian calendar. We don't need to change our well-established days and months, and religious calendars could stay the same as well. But for all official purposes, our current year would be the year 12,016 of the human era. This would drastically alter how we think about history and how it feels. Let's take a very brief look and move through our new history from our new Year Zero. 12,000 years ago saw the beginning of the first construction project kicking off our history. It would be in use for about 2,000 years. It took nearly a millennium until Jericho, probably the first city on Earth, was founded in the year 1000 after the start of the human era. Progress was still very, very slow at this point. Over the next 1,000 years, more and more permanent settlements appeared around the world, and more plants and animals were domesticated as agriculture spread. Evidence for trade over thousands of kilometers has been found from this period. Around 5 million humans were alive at this point in history, fewer than live in London today. Technology advanced constantly at a slow pace. Pottery became widespread. The first cultural communities appeared in China, India, and the Fertile Crescent. Around the year 4000, 8,000 years ago from today, humans started to use metal for the first time, learning to mix tin and copper, and kick-starting what we know as the Bronze Age around the year 5000. The first proto-writing emerged, and the wheel was invented. In South America, the Chinchorro culture started to artificially mummify humans 2,000 years earlier than in ancient Egypt. The first high cultures began emerging around the year 7000. The Indus Valley Civilization, ancient Egypt, the Minoans in Greece, and the Sumerians in Mesopotamia. Stonehenge was built in Britain, and the first dynasty in China began. Ötzi the Iceman lived around this time. What we consider history now started, and things began picking up pace as the world population rose to over 30 million. A number of new high cultures appeared around the world, many writing down their legends. More and more cities were founded. In South America, the Olmec culture emerged. Around this time, the legendary Siege of Troy is supposed to have happened. Soon after, in the Eastern Mediterranean and the Fertile Crescent, the Bronze Age ended in violence. Every Bronze Age culture, except Egypt, was destroyed by mysterious invaders. Writing and progress froze for hundreds of years. Around the year 9500, what we consider Western culture began. The Greek city-states beat off the Persian invasion and triggered their golden era, ended by Alexander the Great around 9700. 100 years later, Rome destroyed Carthage and became a dominant force in the world. Caesar was murdered in the year 9956, while the world population had risen to about 300 million people. And it's only now, around the year 10,000, that we've reached the point where the Gregorian calendar and our current method of marking human history begins. A mere 2,000 years from now, humans will walk on the moon. If we think about history as we do now, we are underplaying 10,000 years of human progress and development. Including all of it in our calendar makes our past more impressive. It shows how progress became exponential with time, and it incorporates all humans from all cultures into our calendar. A new Year Zero for our history could reframe how we think of ourselves. As a building project that started 12,000 years ago, when for the first time our ancestors came together to carve a temple out of bedrock with tools made of stone, not knowing what they would set in motion, where it would lead us as a species. From building the first temple to ships flying beyond the sky. We've made a Kurzgesagt version of the Human Era calendar that you can buy here if you want. It's a calendar for 2017, but with one important difference. It's for the year 12,017, the year we think we should be in right now. There are only a very limited amount available, but if we sell enough of them, we'll make this a regular thing and maybe produce more print products in the future. The calendar is illustrated and we put in a few fun facts. Also, as always, if you like what we do, please consider supporting us on Patreon or buying things we made. It really helps. Thanks, and have a happy 12,017.
To the Disney Bundle, where Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus come to life on all your screens. Transforming your world with 3 incredible
What if the state covered your cost of living? Would you still go to work? Go back to school? Not work at all? What would you do? This concept is called a Universal Basic Income, or UBI, and it's nothing less than the most ambitious social policy of our times. In 2017, basic income is gaining momentum around the world. First trials are ongoing or on their way, and a growing number of countries are considering UBI as an alternative to welfare. How would it work, and what are the key arguments for and against? Right now, people can't really agree what universal basic income is or should be. Some want to use it to eliminate welfare and cut bureaucracy. Others want it as a free extra for existing programs, or even want it to be so high that work itself becomes optional. For this video, we'll talk mostly about the minimum basic income, enough money to be above the poverty line. In the US, this means about $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year. The money would not be taxed, and you could do whatever you wanted with it. In this scenario, UBI is a way of transferring the wealth of a society while still keeping the free market intact. But if we hand out free money, will people just spend it on booze and stop working? A 2013 study by the World Bank specifically examined if poor people waste their handouts on tobacco and alcohol if they receive it in the form of cash. The clear answer, no they don't. The opposite is true. Other studies have shown that the richer you are, the more drugs and alcohol you consume. The lazy and drunk poor person is a stereotype rather than reality. What about laziness? Universal basic income test runs done in Canada in the 1970s showed that around 1% of the recipients stopped working, mostly to take care of their kids. On average, people reduced their working hours by less than 10%. The extra time was used to achieve goals like going back to school or looking for better jobs. But if laziness and drugs are not a huge deal, why doesn't our current welfare state solve poverty? Welfare or unemployment programs often come with a lot of strings attached, like taking part in courses, applying to a certain number of jobs a month, or accepting any kind of job offer, no matter if it's a good fit or what it pays. Besides the loss of personal freedom, these conditions are often a huge waste of time and only serve to make the unemployment statistics seem less bad. Often your time would be much better spent looking for the right job, continuing education, or starting a business. Another unwanted side effect of many welfare programs is that they trap people in poverty and promote passive behavior. Imagine a benefit of $1,000 each month. In a lot of programs, if you earn a single dollar extra, the whole thing is taken away. If you take a job that's paying $1,200, you might not only lose your benefits, but because of your taxes and other costs like transportation, you might end up having less money than before. So if you actively try to better your situation and your total income is not improving or even shrinking, welfare can create a ceiling that traps people in poverty and rewards passive behavior. A basic income can never be cut, and therefore getting a job and additional income will always make your financial situation better. Work is always rewarded. Instead of a ceiling, it creates a floor from which people can lift themselves up. But even if UBI is the better model, is it economically feasible? What about inflation? Won't prices just rise, making everything just like it was before? Since the money is not being created by magic or printers, it needs to be transferred from somewhere. It's more of a shift of funds than the creation of new ones. Hence, no inflation. Okay, but how do we pay for it? There's no right answer here because the world is too diverse. How well off a country is, what the local values are. Are things like high taxes or cutting the defense budget politically acceptable or not? How much welfare state is already in place, and is it effective? Each country has its own individual path to a UBI. The easiest way to pay for a UBI is to end all welfare and use the free funds to finance it. Not only would this make a number of government agencies disappear, which in itself saves money, it would also eliminate a lot of bureaucracy. On the other hand, cutting them could leave many people worse off than before. If the goal is to have a foundation for everybody, there still need to be programs of some sort, because just like countries, people are not the same. The second way, higher taxes, especially for the very wealthy. In the US, for example, there's been a lot of economic growth, but most of the benefits from it have gone to the richest few percent. The wealth gap is rapidly widening, and many argue that it might be time to distribute the spoils more evenly to preserve the social peace. There could be taxes on financial transactions, capital, land value, carbon, or even robots. But UBI is not necessarily expensive. According to a recent study, a UBI of $1,000 per month in the US could actually grow the GDP by 12% over 8 years, because it would enable poor people to spend more and increase overall demand. What about the people who do the dirty work? Who will work in the fields, crawl through sewers, or lift pianos? If you don't need to for survival, will people still do hard, boring, and unfulfilling labor? UBI might give them enough leverage to demand better pay and working conditions. A study calculated that every extra dollar going to wage earners would add about $1.21 to the national economy, while every extra dollar going to high-income Americans would add only 39 cents. There would still be very rich and poor people, but we could eliminate fear, suffering, and existential panic for a significant part of the population. Making poor citizens better off could be a smart economic tactic. For some, this isn't enough. They want a UBI large enough to live a middle-class existence. If we set the financial obstacle aside, this idea fundamentally challenges how our society is constructed. By earning money, you earn the possibility to take part in society. This determines your status and options, but it also forces many people into spending huge chunks of their time on things they don't care about. In 2016, only 33% of US employees were engaged at work, 16% were actively miserable, and the remaining 51% were only physically present.
You. Hey, Brandon.
Hey.
What's up, bro?
Hey, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Believe it or not, I have some people going through Wilkes-Barre as a tourist destination. And I told them about your art, and they want to see your art. Where can they see it?
When would they be here?
It's going to be either in late August or early September, I think.
That's a good question. I don't know. I really don't have anything planned. I think I have something planned for November at the university, but right now I'm at I got some art at a toy store, and I have some art at a local gallery here. But you know what? Matter of fact, the Circle Center for the Arts, they have a monthly membership, and they're back open now. So I'm in there this month with 2 pieces, and I'll definitely make sure I'll just keep some art at the Circle Gallery. So whenever your people come, they can go there, and it's on the same street that I live on, so it's not hard to find.
The Circle Center for the Arts.
Yeah, Wilkes-Barre.
Okay. I think that's when she said they were going. It's my old boss. I actually had lunch with her today. Her and her wife were going there, and they said they were going to Wilkes-Barre. I was like, the hell are you going to Wilkes-Barre for? And they said that they picked it to go on vacation. Fuck.
Why?
Do you know people there? And I said, no, they just like picking random places.
That's too fucking random. There's nothing here other than the fucking casino.
I told him that. I was like, there's nothing in Wilkes-Barre. I said, what if you're going? Because they've already got like 2 days planned. And I said, I told him about your art, that I was there a few months ago, and
I'll definitely make sure I keep some stuff on display somewhere around the city.
Alright, well, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that,
I never thought anybody would pick Wilkes-Barre as a tourist destination. Oh, and another girl that's the assistant director, they were talking about whole buildings in that area, and I mentioned Black Scranton Project getting that big-ass bank building, and the other girl has heard of the Black Scranton Project.
Wow.
And I don't know how, I mean, she's like really focused on issues, but I mean, still, like, Scranton, it's not like it's, you know, Philadelphia project, you know, but it looks like Scranton has spread out much further than Scranton and Wilkes-Barre.
Oh yeah, we picking up some steam now. Damn, motherfuckers all the way down south know about this shit. That's what's up.
Is that center open yet?
No. We just did our we had our Juneteenth event out there, and that took so much out of everybody. We're just kind of like laying low, and then we probably do some stuff in September and November, and then we're really like activities and classes in there.
Well, alright, I will send them your way.
Yeah, that's what's up. Shit, local famous.
Yeah, well, now you're bringing South Carolina to Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Alright, man. Well, I just wanted to check on that.
Alright, bro. I'll talk to you later on. Alright, peace. Hey.
Hey, what's up?
Are you getting food or what?
I'm cooking, babe.
I thought you were gonna get tacos.
No.
Oh, is it almost done? I'm hungry as shit, man.
Huh?
Is it almost done? I'm hungry.
It'll be done soon.
Alright.
I had to go to the store when I got off. Mark didn't need a ride. Nate was there when we got off. I guess he got done. He said he was getting his Apple CarPlay and stuff. But yeah, I just went to the store. So I'm cooking a meat now, so it shouldn't be too much longer. Probably about another 15 minutes.
Alright.